Hi there, students. In my video yesterday to play to the gallery, I used a phrase, the lowest common denominator, and clearly some of you had problems with this. Okay, the lowest common denominator, principally or originally, is a mathematical concept. It's something they taught me at school. Let me give you an example instead of a complex explanation. So if you have two numbers, 2 and 3, the lowest common denominator of 2 and 3 is 6. So 6 is the lowest number that you can divide by 2 and by 3 and get a whole number as an answer. So 6 divided by 2 gives us 3, and 6 divided by 3 gives us 2. 6 is the lowest number that both 2 and 3 will divide into to give us whole numbers. Or for example, 2, 3 and 4. If we have the numbers 2, 3 and 4, the lowest common denominator would be 12. Because 12 is divisible by 2, by 3 and by 4, and 12 is the lowest number that is divisible by all three numbers. It's a useful concept for adding up fractions. But we use lowest common denominator in English to talk about the simplest, most unrefined thing that appeals to the taste or can be understood by the lowest member of society. So, for example, a joke which is designed for the lowest common denominator is a joke that everybody or nearly everybody will laugh at. It's not very refined, it's not very clever, so you can understand the joke if you're not educated, if you don't have a lot of culture. This phrase, the lowest common denominator, is pejorative. It's saying the low sections of society, something that even poor, uneducated, stupid, and people without culture will understand. Okay, so the lowest common denominator is something that is appealing to as many members of society as possible. So, for example, I think a lot of advertising is designed for the lowest common denominator. They say the product is the best and it's the cheapest, and they just repeat that again and again. Okay, as I said, this phrase, the lowest common denominator, is critical of the lower groups of society. It's certainly a very snobbish phrase. So when somebody plays to the gallery, they're using words, phrases, ideas, concepts that can be understood and approved of by the least educated, least cultured members of society. Something very simple that everybody would approve of. So, do you vote for war? Yes or no? No, I don't vote for war. I don't want to go to war. This is an idea that could appeal to the lowest common denominator of society. Very often people say that the quality of television is getting worse and worse because it's designed for the lowest common denominator. It's aimed at the lowest common denominator. It is simple and will be enjoyed by the largest audience possible. This makes it unrefined, it's not subtle, the concepts are not complex and at a higher mental plane. So something very complex is not made for the lowest common denominator. It's something maybe they won't understand, or something that is beyond their experience. So posh people think that the culture, or the essences of culture and the most cultured things, are of difficult access to the lowest common denominator. I don't think that's true, but that's another question. Okay, and it's a metaphor for this mathematical thing, because it's the lowest number that can be divided by all of the members of society, all of the numbers in the group, to give a whole number that everybody understands it. I've seen this phrase used a lot in the press, in documentaries, in news, in things like that. It's probably, I would say, neutral formality. You could definitely use it in an informal conversation, and I think you could also probably use it in a formal document. Yeah. This humour appeals to the lowest common denominators of society, or this soap opera, or this programme is decreasing in quality so that it is followed by the lowest common denominator of our society. Okay, so lowest common denominator. If you enjoyed the video, give it a rating, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you soon. And clearly, if you're watching my video, you're not the lowest common denominator. Bye for now.